Well, good morning, Yellow Jackets. It is great having you all here. My name is Bob Helmer. I'm the president of the university. I have a script in front of me, but I'm not much of one for scripts. So let me just first of all say welcome. On behalf of today's student athletes, the faculty and staff of BW, I want to welcome the families and friends that are here, and then of course, a very special welcome to the inductees into the Athletic Hall of Fame. This is the 55th anniversary of this event. So we have over 300 Yellow Jackets have been inducted into this Hall of Fame. And the 9 student athletes who are with us today, plus an honorary inductee, continues that tradition. And it is such an important tradition because each one of us needs role models. And what I would suggest to you, especially to the 10 who are being inducted today, you are role models for today's student athletes. You've had a chance perhaps this morning to interact with some of our current students. That is great. Continue to excel as Yellow Jackets for life. Continue to exemplify everything that makes this university so special, because today's student athletes look up to you. They look up to the 300 inductees into the Athletic Hall of Fame. We look to you as role models for what does it mean to be a Yellow Jacket. And so I welcome everyone here today. We have a great ceremony in front of us. Look forward to hearing the stories of the 10 inductees. It is the stories that resonate with each one of us. And so again, on behalf of the university, congratulations to all of this morning's inductees. And I'd now like to turn the program over to Chris Diaz, our athletic director. Chris.
Thanks, President Helmer. Appreciate that. Again, welcome to all of our honorees, and thank all the family and friends for also joining us. And what a great honor to be recognized by your alma mater with this type of event. Obviously, a number of thank yous I want to start today's program off with. A lot of people are involved to make an event like this possible, and just a few that I want to mention here today. Kevin Ruppel and Jeff Miller from our sports information staff, Mary Stein and Sue Searcy from University Relations, Rob Becker from the Lou Higgins staff. I don't think too many of us realize we can turn our indoor track and gym mod space area into such a nice facility, so we appreciate Rob and his staff for making this happen. Obviously, Jeannie Vassinelli and our food service staff. Let's give them a hand, Jeannie and the food service. Again, to turn the rec center and a track into a dining room is pretty nice and pretty special, so we appreciate all that they do to make that happen. Christy Davenport and her staff at the Alumni Engagement Office with Pat Dunleavy, our Vice President for Philanthropy. We appreciate Christy, her staff, and Pat and all their support of our Athletic Hall of Fame and all our inductees today. So Christy and your staff, thank you. Also, our Hall of Fame Selection Committee. Not too many years ago, we changed our format and went to a committee. We have an 11-member committee, and the committee is made up of obviously individuals, but those individuals really are selected by their position. And of that committee, we have myself, all the athletic directors involved, the director of alumni, Christy Davenport, our vice president who oversees athletics, Dick Fletcher, Sherry here, our senior women's administrator's role. And then we have 2 current coaches of our teams, a men's coach, and that's Brian Harrison, our baseball coach. We have a coach of our women's team, and that's Tom Spencer, our softball coach. And then we have Kevin Ruppel, who's a member of our sports information and university relations staff. Then we have 4 people that are current Hall of Fame members. 2 females, Kristen Robinson and Barb Hunter, and 2 males, Mark Summers and Larry Hoon. So we thank them and appreciate all their work that they do in this process of selecting our Hall of Fame members. So thanks to our committee. Also like to thank Keith Peppers, our historian. When you get a chance to go out into the archive area, if you haven't already, the displays that are out there, the research and gathering information for that. Keith Keith puts all that together and takes care of all our displays, so really appreciate Keith and his staff for doing those displays. So when you get a chance, like I said, if you haven't already done so, please take a look out there at the lobby. Those display cases stay up for 1 year. They rotate, so they last for a year, and then we put next year's class in there. And then as you go down that hallway, there's a little nameplate plaque and a Hall of Fame case that stays up permanently, so those names will be there forever, but the displays last for 1 year. This time I'd like to recognize any current members of our Hall of Fame that might be in attendance with us today. So if you have any current members of our Hall of Fame are here, if you could please stand so we can recognize you. Current members of our Hall of Fame. Thanks for coming back and joining our crew here today. Unfortunately, each year at this time, we recognize some of those Hall of Fame members that are no longer with us. And this past year, we did lose a few of our Hall of Fame members. Richard Rutherford, class of 52. Jerry Seuss, class of 56. Jim Kearns, class of 57. Carol Hillinger Ratcliffe, class of 68. And Vern Charball, class of 69. We remember Richard, Jerry, Jim, Carol, Vern, and all our other Hall of Famers who have gone before us. So please, at this time, if we could take a moment of silence to thank them and recognize them for all their contributions to our Yellow Jacket community. Thank you. As we transition to the here and now, we are fortunate to have some of our current coaches and student athletes joining us today. And obviously, with game day and some of our teams playing on the road and practices, not all of our folks could be here, but we do have some that are here, and I'd like to recognize those today. I mentioned a few minutes ago, Dick Fletcher is our Senior Vice President that oversees athletics. Dick, thanks for joining us. Our Faculty Athletic Rep, Alan Colt. Alan. Our Assistant Athletic Director, John Snell. Our Senior Women's Administrator and Head Women's Basketball Coach, Sherry Harrod. Mitch Subban, our Assistant Track and Field Coach. Reed Ayers, our Men's Soccer Coach. Tom Heil, Men's Basketball Coach. Jamie Gibbs, Wrestling Coach. And Joe Yakubek, our Assistant Softball Coach. Coaches, thanks for joining us. We are fortunate to have a few of our student athletes with us here this morning also. Abby Cosart from softball. And wave your hand back to Abby so you can see it. All right. Kyle White and Jimmy Bateman from track and field. Guys. We have Bryce Posner from the men's soccer team. Bryce in the back. Tanner McHugh from wrestling. So Tanner. And Michael Quiring from our men's basketball team. And we appreciate our student athletes joining this celebration and getting a chance to maybe see someday, hopefully where they could be down the road. So thanks for joining us. At this time, just to give you a few updates taking place in our athletic department over this past year. We will talk about the successes and the wins and losses a lot of times on the field, but we don't recognize maybe some of the things behind the scenes. And if you don't know, BW is the 10th ranked school among all Division III colleges and universities with our number of academic COSIDA All-Americans. We have 117 COSIDA academic All-Americans. And we're the first small college in Ohio with numbers of academic All-Americans, so we're really proud of that. Since last fall, our women's cross-country team won its first ever regional championship and qualified the whole team for the NCAA meet. Our women's basketball team received an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament, and our men's basketball team won the OAC tournament and also competed in the NCAA, won the OAC tournament and competed in the NCAA tournament. Both teams won first round games and went to the wire in the second round game and actually could have won that one also. Our men's wrestling team sent a number of student athletes to the national meet. Our Our indoor and outdoor track and field teams also sent a large number of student athletes to the national meet, capped off with Zach Dicer, who was our national champion in the hammer throw last outdoor season. And if you're not sure what the hammer throw is, if you can picture a shot put on a long wire and you're swinging around and see how far it goes, that's what Zach did. And he, if I remember right, Mitch, was it his last throw that he won on? Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was his last throw that he actually won the national championship on, which was a great, great event to see that happen. Our softball team set a school record last year with 34 victories. Our baseball team won the OAC regular season championship for the first time since 1985, which meant we hosted the OAC baseball tournament, again, the first time since the 80s. We've been in the tournament, we qualified for the regionals, NCAA regionals, but we hadn't hosted it since the 80s, so it was really a great season in regards to that, to be able to host that back on our turf, so to speak. A couple updates, and we talked last year about the turf projects that we had just done, which we're very proud of upgrading our facilities with our various turf projects with baseball and softball and our soccer and lacrosse complex behind the Packer building. Our new project that we're going to undertake this year is our Finney Stadium track. We're going to work with the Mondo Company, and we're going to be updating our track beginning in May. Soon after our last home track meet, we'll be putting in a new track surface. So a lot of good things happening here at BW. We appreciate your support through all that goes on here. This time we'll also recognize our Brown and Gold Club. Our Brown and Gold Club is a relatively new organization. About 3 years now, we've kind of put the organization together. We used to have a separate kind of a Letterman's men's athletic group and a women's alumni athletic association, and we just thought in today's day and age, it makes more sense to kind of have those groups together. And so over a time period of transitioning, we made that change. And we're going into just about our third year now that we have a Brown and Gold Club, and that's for all of our athletic supporters and obviously especially our athletic alumni. So we appreciate all that they do for us. We do have a few of our members here today. Tim Budig, use your hands there, Brown and Gold Club members. Rob Becker, Dave LeBon, and I think it's Kristen Robinson was over here, I think. So we had those Brown and Gold Club members. Any other Brown and Gold Club members sneak in at the end? Yeah, we appreciate those folks in the back and all their support, so thanks for all that you do for us. The Brown and Gold Club has provided individual sports with a variety, whether it be equipment, clothing, weight room equipment for all of us. And they provide a variety of support throughout the year and over the years for our various programs. Coaches submit a particular request, and they debate and try to support whatever they can with various fundraising activities. If you haven't been through the hallway just outside the hall, down the hall here, take a look at that. We have the wall displays, some window screen graphics, some signage, some door screens in the lobby. So if you get a chance, if you haven't seen that yet, take a look at those hallway displays as you leave, as you go through the building, because they've done a great job. And that's just a recently completed project here within the last few weeks, so appreciate that. The biggest fundraiser is a reverse raffle. For those of you that have been involved in that, obviously we really appreciate that. This year will be the 50th anniversary of the reverse raffle. And it's going to be held on April the 4th, and it's going to be held in our gymnasium. So if you're around and available, we'd love to have all of you join us and come back on April the 4th for our reverse raffle, which really is our single most largest fundraising event that the Brown and Gold Club does. So again, appreciate that and appreciate all that they do for us. Obviously, college athletics at the Division III level are about the student athlete. So now it's time for us to recognize our Hall of Fame honorees today for their greatness and the successes that they've had here at BW as student athletes. We've welcomed back a lot of folks to campus today. I've got one more I need to welcome back. Our MC this morning is not only a class of BW 1990 graduate, but an Emmy Award-winning broadcaster for the Cleveland Indians. Matt Underwood majored in business administration as a student here, but soon became interested in broadcasting. He worked at the University radio station, WBWC, as both a disc jockey and also a sportcaster. His path from BW to the big leagues began at local TV station WEWS Channel 5. Matt spent 17 years and served as the station's sports director from 97 to 99 before joining the Cleveland Indians. In 2019 marks Matt's 13th year in the TV booth calling the play-by-play with his partner Rick Manning, former Indians center fielder. In addition to winning 3 Emmy Awards, Matt's other accolades include being a member of both the Baltimore Radio Hall of Fame, the Ashley County Sports Hall of Fame. He's also a recipient of the 2013 BW Alumni Merit Award, as well as Distinguished Alumni Award from Ashland High School. Matt is married to his wife Shelley, and they have 2 children, a son Max, who's a junior here at BW, and a daughter Devin, who attends CMU in Toronto. We're very fortunate to have Matt joining us here for our ceremony to be our MC, and we welcome him back to BW. Matt, thank you, and welcome back.
Thank you, Chris, and thanks for having me back, President Helmer. Chrissy Davenport, thanks for all your help in getting ready for the program. And I know you're ready to get right to it, so why don't we start? Today we're going to recognize 10 exceptional individuals, each of whom impacted Baldwin-Wallace in their own unique and lasting ways. Our honorees were selected for their outstanding achievements as well as for their individual contributions to their teams, and we are honored to celebrate their place in BW history. After I introduce each honoree, he or she will share a few remarks with us and then be presented with their Hall of Fame plaque. I encourage you to remember that, of course, much more could be said about and by each one of our honorees and their achievements. But as always, we want to keep the program moving. Our first inductee this morning, originally from Westerville, Ohio, a 4-time letterman in men's soccer and one of the best defenders to ever wear the brown and gold. In addition to being a key defender, Todd Alexander still managed to score 14 goals and 6 assists for 34 career points. He helped BW to win 50 games against 20 losses and 7 ties, including a team that was ranked 10th in the nation in Division III in 06. Twice he was a Division III All-Regional player, 3-time team captain, and 2-time BW Team Most Valuable Player. Today, Todd is the owner and operator of Tunnel Vision Hoops, a greenhouse manufacturing company located in Shaker Heights. Please help me welcome Todd Alexander to the stage. Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I'm Todd Alexander. That's my picture. So when I was a baby boy, I saw my sister and my mother. My sister was playing soccer. My mother was actually the coach, and my father was very supportive. And I saw that, and I thought to myself, I want to do that. And I love my sister, and I love my mother, and I started playing soccer with them, and soccer was fun. And naturally, I began to fall in love with soccer. I got older. I started playing on a team for myself. I made friends. I made a best friend. Unlike anyone, I loved my friends, and I continued to fall in love with soccer even more. I got older yet. My best friend and I, we got on different teams. We were competitive with each other, and we would play on different teams, but we remained best friends. We went on trick-or-treating trips together. We had sleepovers. We watched movies, as any best friends would do. We still loved each other. But I didn't want to show up on Monday. We sat next to each other in 5th grade, and I didn't want to show up on Monday having lost to him. So we both loved soccer. But this is when I began to fall in love with winning. And so did my best friend. And winning, to me, was simply the universe making judgment about which team loved the sport more. How much can you give the sport? How much can you love the sport? And I continued to age, and I became lucky enough to have plenty of teammates, plenty of best friends, plenty of people that I loved. And I continued to grow my love for the game, including here at Baldwin-Wallace. I made tons of friends. I fell in love with tons of friends. I fell in love with the sport even more. And I find this to be very lucky. And now I'm old, kind of, and
I was asked to come here and say words and be honored for just doing something that I fell in love with people I love. And that's a bit silly, but also it's extremely, extremely humbling. So all that's left to do is say I'm extremely humbled to be here. I feel that many of the friends that I've loved that played the sport that they loved could be here as well. And thank you. And the other thing that's left to do is actually thank people. So my sister, who inspired me to play soccer in the first place, my mother, my father, very supportive. My first soccer coach that kind of made me love the sport, Solomon Hilton, then Alf Ryberg in Cleveland, and then of course Reed Ayers, who's here tonight, thank you very much, Kurt Kruger, Jim Wyken, and every teammate I ever had, who I love greatly, and of course my loving and patient wife, because I still play soccer like 3 to 5 times a week, and it's probably really annoying because I'm like 34 years old. So thank you everyone, I'm honored to be here, I'm deeply humbled. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure to induct Todd Alexander, class of 2008, in the BW Athletics Hall of Fame, and to present him with this plaque as a reminder of that honor. Todd?
Our next inductee is the late Dr. Lou Barone, Professor Emeritus, originally from Batavia, New York. He served as the BW Faculty Athletics Representative to the Ohio Athletic Conference for 33 years. He attended 26 NCAA conventions. Twice he was the president of the Ohio Athletic Conference and served on the executive committee for 14 years. Additionally, Dr. Barone served as the assistant softball coach from 1985 through 1992, and he was the beloved public address announcer at George Finney Stadium for 28 seasons. Among his many accolades as faculty member, Dr. Barone received the Strosacker Award for Excellence in Teaching and the Award for Meritorious Service to the College. We are sad that the late Dr. Barone cannot be with us today, and we want to acknowledge his wife, Sue, and members of the Barone family who are with us here today to celebrate his accomplishments. We remember Dr. Barone for his many contributions not only to his students, but to the BW athletics community. Accepting on his behalf today is his brother, Bob Barone.
On behalf of Lou's family, his wife Susan, son Eric, daughter Joanna, and her husband Jeff, grandchildren Griffin and Madeline, and his good friends Sue and Doug Smith, we'd like to thank the Bob and Wallace community for this singular honor. Now, I guess this is the time when I should regale you with Lou's ancient athletic exploits, but there weren't any. He did run track in high school, and he was coach of the high school track team in Pleasantville, New York. But that was so long ago that in those days, you know, the relay team didn't pass a baton. They passed a rock or a stick or the femur of a brontosaurus. We were, however, avid spectator sports fans. And my father was a dyed-in-the-wool Yankees fan, so much so that we swore he had pinstripes tattooed to the inside of his eyelids. We, however, were closet Indians fans. And the one time my father backed the Indians was for the 1954 World Series. Okay. Now, at that time, the Indians had won 111 games during the season. It was a major league record at the time, and they were going to take on the New York Giants, and they were going to be a shoo-in, and the Indians went out and promptly lost to the Giants 4 straight. As my brother said, my father was paying off those gambling debts for the rest of his life. Now, coming from Western New York, we were Buffalo Bills fans. And so when my brother was out at University of Buffalo getting his doctorate, we would go and watch the Bills play at War Memorial Stadium, affectionately known as the old rock pile. Now, War Memorial Stadium was a lot like the old Cleveland Municipal Stadium, except they had fewer bathrooms that worked. And we agonized over the fact that Scott Norwood missed that field goal in the Super Bowl against the New York Giants. And as my brother loved to tell the story, you see that? That's where I slashed my wrist when Norwood missed the kick. But like Norwood's kick, the slash was wide right. All of Lou's professional career was spent at BW, and from the time he arrived here in 1965, he was a supporter and avid enthusiast of the athletic program, as well as being a professor of history extraordinaire for 42 years. For 28 years, he was the on-field voice of the Yellow Jackets football team, complete with several times he didn't know that the mic was still on, and he turned in description of Grantland Rice, the cold, gray November sky, into some very red faces in the stands. He was fortunate enough to be at Phoenix City, Alabama in 1978 for the Amos Alonso Stag Bowl, when the Baldwin Wallace football team won the Division III National Football Championship. Go Yellow Jackets. We can applaud there if you'd like. I guess his most memorable experience, though, was working with his girls, assistant coaching the women's softball team. In all of his associations with athletics, he remained BW's #1 promoter and fan, and he always enjoyed talking about his beloved school. He was the embodiment of all that is good in Division III athletics, where students participate for nothing more than the love of the game. And he too, in his own way, devoted his time, talents to the love of that game. Throughout his career, he received many awards, but this particular honor, which he never learned of, would mean the most to him. Now, I know I only have a few minutes to accept this award, but if he were here, he would have you up here for hours telling his stories, some of which had a little shag on the dog, but he would be very grateful for this honor, as we are grateful, and he would thank you as we thank you. Thank you, Bob. It's my honor to induct Dr. Lou Barone as an honorary member of the Baltimore Athletic Hall of Fame, and to present the family with this plaque to recognize that honor. Thanks. Congratulations.
Our next inductee is one of the best dual sport athletes to ever play here at BW. Originally from Sugar Creek, Ohio, Geoff Helmlinger was a 2-year starting quarterback and the starting third baseman on the baseball team for 3 seasons. He earned a total of 6 varsity letters, including 3 in each sport. As a senior in football, he was first in the OAC and 4th nationally in Division III in passing efficiency. In baseball, Geoff saw action in 92 career games, 87 starts at third base. He hit .293, 58 runs scored, 18 extra base hits, and 59 runs batted in. Today, he is a sales representative for Gray Bar Electric, where he's been employed for the last 19 years. Please join me in welcoming Geoff Helmlinger to the stage.
Fight through this and make this as quick as possible. It's It's great to be back on campus and see everyone and see how much things have changed over the years. Football is a team sport, so I'm going to first off by thanking my teammates. Obviously without them, I couldn't be up here. Throughout my entire career, from high school to college, we've had great teams and great athletes around me. And I want to thank each and every one of them. You spend so much time with them, you really become best friends with them. And actually, one of my good buddies is here right now, Matty Andrews. Matt's a freak athlete. Coach knows the calm is specimen. So why don't you stand up, Matt? I think if I give you a round of applause. He was the size of the tight end and probably the fastest guy on the team. So I can't think how many times, he'd run a streak or post and get 4 or 5 yards behind the defender. I would drop back and throw as far as I could. He'd have to stop, wait for it, catch it, then get tackled. We would often joke, but he'd make fun of me and say if he had a quarterback with a strong arm, how much better he'd be. And I'd have to agree. Thanks, Matt. I just want to thank my coaches. At a start in high school, we had a great one in Coach Don Jr. I just can't say enough about him. I'm sure Matt will agree, but we were blessed to have him at such a small school at Caraway. He was actually just inducted in Ohio High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame, so that tells you the type of person and how great of a coach he is. Back when we played 25 years ago, high school teams didn't throw the ball very much. Most teams ran the wishbone, the wing tee. But I think Coach Hartler saw the athletes we had, guys like Matt, a couple of the guys who could run and catch pretty well. And he installed like a pro-style offense, and we threw the ball quite a bit. We ended up having a lot of success. And because of that, brought me here to BW and was recruited by Coach Schnell. The coaching staff here at BW is amazing. With the football program, which is led by Coach Packard, Coach Diaz was the coach back then, Coach Schnell, and all the other assistants. With baseball, we had Coach Fisher, he's here somewhere, Coach Pelka, probably my favorite coach of all time, Coach Timmer. I just can't say enough about them. They're all fantastic. But I will say Coach Schnell probably had the biggest influence on me. I think most of you probably know Coach Schnell, so you know what type of person he is. The love and passion he has for, not only the football program, but BW itself, I think is pretty amazing. And I'm sure it's the same today as it was 25 years ago. I know he is the main reason I came to BW. And, I was lucky because, Coach Schnell was a quarterback coach when I was here, so we got to spend a lot of time together between practicing, meetings, watching film. I was probably in his office almost every day. The daily talks we had, learned about football, but life in general, we became very close. So I just want to thank Coach Schnell. You're the main reason I'm up here right now, wherever you are. Finally, I just want to thank my parents, my mother Jane, and my stepfather Randy, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, and they really wanted to be here. My father Tony, who flew all the way in from Arizona, although it's not a surprise, they would all three drive over 2 hours every week to watch our games, and I don't think they missed a game my entire career, and that includes high school and college. So I just want to thank them for all the love and support they taught me over the years. I'm forever grateful for all they've done, on and off the field. I'd like to thank my family, my wife Courtney, who I met at BW 25 years ago, my daughter Addison, my son Evan. Just thanks for being here and sharing this special day with me. I guess to wrap it up, I just want to congratulate all the inductees, and thanks again for this great honor.
It's my pleasure to induct Geoff Helmlinger, class of '99, in the Wallace University Athletics Hall of Fame, to present him with this plaque as a recognition of that honor. Congratulations.
Next up, Laura Leach Lesniewski, originally from Norwalk, Ohio, is one of the best middle hitters to ever wear the brown and gold. During her 4 seasons of volleyball here at BW, Laura earned 4 letters and is still listed on the top 10 in numerous statistical categories. Laura's 1,350 career kills ranks 4th all time, and both her .315 hitting percentage and 145 career solo blocks each rank 3rd. She is the recipient of multiple awards. She was the 04 American Volleyball Coaches Association Division III All-American, BW's 05 Female Clyde Lamb Award recipient, 3-time All-OAC and 2-time Academic All-OAC selection, not to mention she was the Rookie of the Year as a freshman. Currently, Laura is employed as a hospice liaison with Compassionate Care Hospice of Akron. Please help me welcome Laura Leach Lesniewski to the stage here this morning.
First and foremost, I want to thank Baldwin Wallace, the athletic department, and the Alumni Engagement Office for putting on this great event. And I want to start by thanking my parents, Fred and June, my practice partner and my roommate here, my sister Megan, who couldn't make it today, but she's here in spirit. And I'd also like to acknowledge my husband, Ryan, who nominated me for this award and watched me transition from a high school athlete to a 4-year collegiate athlete here at BW. And I'd also like to thank my boys, Luke and Landon, who are currently being very well behaved, so I appreciate it. They were all here for the ups and downs, the joys and frustrations, and because of that, I'm forever grateful to them. And I'd also like to thank my coaches that I had at the time, Vicki Brault, Dave Vajovic, and Bev Sadler, and the great years of teammates. I had many great teammates here who I'm still in contact with today. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Whatever you are, be a good one." He also said, "Character's like a tree and reputation, its shadow. The shadow is what we think it is, and the tree is the real thing." As an almost 37-year-old wife, daughter, mother, employee, volunteer, and member of an increasingly complex society and community, these quotes strike me at a very personal level. I remember my father stating to me in high school to always respect the refs, the opposing players, the coaches, and their families. He told me that people remember those who with good sportsmanship and who respect others, even in the heat of competition. I believe with all my heart that my drive to be the best player on the floor, even when I was not, and the values he instilled in me regarding good character, sportsmanship, and integrity have truly shaped the person that I've become today. As a mother of 2 very active boys with some attention deficit issues and one with a diagnosed learning disability, I have found myself having to repeat some of the things my parents used to say to me when I was younger. Things like, "As long as you did your best, that's all I can ask." Or things like, "Some things in life aren't easy. Some things aren't handed to you. You have to work hard, and as long as you put in 100% of your effort, that's all we can ask." At a recent parent-teacher conference earlier this month for my oldest son, the teacher had mentioned she remembered me from high school as her father was the high school athletic director at the time and my former geometry teacher. We discussed how hard it is for my oldest son to work for his grades. We discussed how he has a quirky personality and how some kids might not understand it at times, but how that the teachers overall adore him. We discussed some of his issues with coordination and how when I coached his rec league volleyball team last year, I wanted to pull my hair out at his lack of aggressiveness and how easily distracted he would get. But at the end of the meeting, the 3 teachers present all said the same thing. He's kind to others, he listens to directions, and he's respectful of his classmates and the adults in the building. And when I coach current young athletes, no matter how badly we've lost or how greatly we've defeated an opponent, my message to them is consistent. If you gave your best effort, you were coachable, and you showed great sportsmanship, in the end, that's all I can ask of you. In our culture where money, fame, athletic ability, intelligence, and beauty dominate, I give thanks to my parents for instilling values of hard work, integrity, and the importance of being the best you that you can be. And I truly believe my time at BW and on the volleyball team enabled me to deal with situations in my life that have allowed me to become the best me that I can be. And in the end, no matter what my sons go on to do, I can only hope to instill the same values into them. What people remember most is how you treated them, how you made them feel, and if you were of good character. In the end, when my boys have grandchildren of their own, and they show them pictures on the wall at BW or Norwalk High School, and they tell their kids or their grandkids that their mother was a pretty good volleyball player, I can only hope that they relay that their mother was an even better person. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to induct Laura Leach Wisniewski, class of 2005, in the Baldwin Wallace University Athletics Hall of Fame, to present her with this plaque as a recognition of that honor. Congratulations.
Laura, what a great message. Thank you. Our next inductee, Nicole Loudin, arguably the best hitter in softball in school history. Loudin helped BW compile an 82-68 record, including 25 wins her freshman year. She still owns BW school records for home runs, 37, and runs batted in, 123. Not only was she named BW Rookie of the Year as a freshman, she is still the only freshman in school history to earn All-American honors in softball. Additionally, Nicole was a 3-time All-Central Region pick, 3-time academic All-OAC choice, and numerous times she was the OAC Hitter of the Week. Today, Nicole is the head softball coach at, am I allowed to say this? John Carroll. Please welcome Nicole Loudin to the stage.
Hello. So I'm sorry I coach at John Carroll. They pay my bills. What do you want me to do? Okay? But wow. Where do you even begin? How do you put 4 years, 150 games, thousands of hours of practice and training, and countless memories with coaches and teammates into a 5-minute speech? That's the question I've been asking myself since I got that amazing email and phone call from Chris back in June. Oh, hi, honey. I have a 2-year-old. She may or may not come up on the stage. I apologize in advance. But after a lot of reflection and a lot of time thinking about this, I decided that I didn't want this speech to be just about me because I didn't get this award by myself. I wanted to make this about everybody that I wanted to say thank you to. So in the end, that's what I decided this is going to be today. A giant thank you to everyone who helped me get up on this stage today. So first and foremost, thank you to BW Athletics, the administration, the Hall of Fame committee, the Brown and Gold Club, and anybody else who had a hand in this honor. I really appreciate it, and I know all the amazing athletes that I played with, all the amazing athletes that I coach against every year, that I watch in all the games and events that I go to, and to be named one of the top ones, and I can't even put that honor really adequately into words. I'm going to try in my 5-minute speech, but I know I can't do it, so thank you. I know all the dedication and hard work that went into all of us being here today, and so I really appreciate this honor. And while I'm at it, congratulations to all the other inductees. You guys are amazing. I love reading your stats. I remember watching some of you guys when I was here, or even as my mom is still a professor here. So you guys are all awesome. Thank you for thinking that I am just as good as they are. Thank you to all the coaches that I've had along the way. Coach Beck, Coach Cleaver, Coach Chadwick, Mr. Myers, and Joe and Bob. So Joe, who is here today. Each and every one of you taught me something. Each and every one of you pushed me and encouraged me to be the best version of myself. And Joe, thank you so much for the freedom to try new things and push the limits of what I was capable of while I was here. And also thank you for understanding that bunting and short game was not part of my skill set, and for eventually, towards the end of my career, just giving me, can you just go ahead and hit a home run? I'd really like this as the only signs that I got from the plate anymore. I so appreciate not having to learn anything else. But I couldn't have done it without you guys, so thank you. Thank you to all my teammates. None of what I accomplished here could have been done alone, especially not in softball. When I transferred here in the middle of my freshman year, Flume, Evie, and O were amazing leaders who welcomed me with open arms and taught me how to take pride in being a Yellow Jacket. They made me feel special at a time that I needed that, and they made this place feel like home. BW became that place, and it's still somewhere special today. Even if when I show up, I have to wear blue. I'm sorry, I will be here this spring. I apologize in advance. But this is someplace special, and I really appreciate the people that made that happen. To Liz and Jay, two of my pitchers, you were amazing pitchers who are now great coaches, who taught me so much about the mental side of the game. To Casey, who is here today, thank you so much for being a mastermind with me, for teaching me to appreciate both sides of the game, and for teaching me that it's okay to see a lion in the mirror when sometimes the rest of the world sees a kitten. This is where it gets kind of hard, so. And to Amy, who's one of my best friends when we were here. Softball's a game of failure, and I've been really lucky to be around people who have supported me so much along the way. Oh Lord, I see my child coming for the stage now. But you fail 6 out of 10 times, and you are an amazing player. And so, thank you to all the people who supported me and helped pick me up. I don't know that I would have put up half the numbers. Oh Lord. I did well I was here if it hadn't been for all of my teammates. Lastly, thank you to my family. Thank you to my wife and my daughter, who my wife is practically tackling my daughter to keep her off of this stage right now. But thank you for being here to support me today. You know, Mommy loves you. Thank you to my in-laws who drove here. So Lily and Ethan, you guys are being awesome in the back. A shout out to you, good job. Thank you to my brother Mike. I know that I dragged you to a lot of fields. I know I dragged you all over creation to watch softball games, and I know that it was not always the easiest. But I'm really hoping that getting a whole week off of school when you were in high school to hang out with college softball players maybe helped and made up for it just a little bit. I always tried to make you proud when I played. I know I'm gonna get through this. Okay, thank you, my dad. You taught me how to play the game the right way. Every day you help me teach our players how to continue that. My players call you DCL, which stands for Dad Coach Loudin. I'm really lucky that he's my assistant coach over at John Carroll. And I can't think of a more fitting title than that. I'm sorry, my toddler's throwing a slow tantrum. But you have always been my dad, you've always been my coach. And I appreciate that more than ever. You were the one who pushed me, you were the one who told me not to settle for 3 out of 4, because if I would hit 3 out of 4 in a game, you'd go, so what happened on the 4th? Seriously? You swung for the fence on that pitch? Which if you ever got to see me play, you know that I was real good at swinging for the fence every once in a while and spinning myself out of control. But your standards, your excellence pushed me to be who I was as a player and who I am as a coach. And lastly, thank you to my mom. Thank you for being here today. What a lot of you in this room may not know is that 6 months ago, she was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. It's been a really tough year. And everyone outside of our family was so impressed with how much you fought and how much you were dedicated to your fight. But that was no surprise to our immediate family. I've watched you fight for our entire lives. I've watched your determination to get a PhD and never miss one of my girls' games. You've always been my biggest fan. You've always told me that I played great, whether I did or not, because let's be honest, nobody plays well all the time. And you always appreciated the effort I put into every day. No matter what the score, the stats of the level, you reminded me that you loved me. So thank you for balancing out Dad and his high levels of expectations, and always reminding me to love this endlessly frustrating, absolutely amazing game. So one more time, thank you. I'm sorry I cried on stage. I knew I wasn't going to get through it, but I did not angry cry, ugly cry, or snot everywhere, so I'm going to take the win. I'm sorry if I missed anyone along the way. They only gave me 5 minutes. But congrats to everybody in this room who's being honored today. You all deserve it. And let's all enjoy this moment. And one more round of applause for everybody. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to induct Nicole Loudin, class of 2006 in the BW University Athletic Hall of Fame, to present her with a plaque as recognition of that honor. Congratulations.
Whew, all right. Way to go, Nicole. We need a story after that. Personal story. I arrived on the campus of Baldwin Wallace in the fall of 1986 as a wide-eyed football player. I was going to be the next great quarterback here at BW. Never mind that there were already 6 quarterbacks on the varsity roster, and never mind that I was one of 6 freshman quarterbacks coming into camp that year. That didn't matter. I was going to turn the world around, right, Coach Snell? Yeah. I remember that fall camp, going through it, trying to impress the coaches, and one day I got summoned to the office of Bill Tarachke. And Coach Tarachke was one of the coaches. He was in charge of the offensive backfield. So I'm thinking, all right, Coach is inviting me into his office. He's going to talk to me. He's going to tell me how impressed he is with the way I'm throwing the ball and how great a future I have here at BW. And I go into his office, and Coach T starts talking to me about my career in high school as a distance runner on the track team. I'm kind of taken aback a little bit. I ran the mile and the 2-mile relay, and occasionally I would run the open 2-mile. And he said to me that he thought I had great potential in some of the longer distance races. I'm still trying to process, where's the football part play into all of this? And he says, have you ever thought about running the steeplechase? Now, for the uninitiated, the steeplechase is 8 laps around the track. Not this track, the big one over there. It's roughly 2 miles, 3,000 meters. And as if that's not enough, the sadistic individual who dreamed up this event thought it wasn't enough to just race 8 laps around the track. He thought, let's put some obstacles in their way. So there are hurdles, and not just regular hurdles. There are 4x4 wooden posts that are anchored to beams on each side. So if you hit one of those with your knee trying to get over it, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to finish the race. And as if that's not enough, they put a little concrete wall at one end of the track that you have to jump over. And there's about 2-3 feet of water on the other side of it, so if you don't clear the water, you run the rest of the race with wet shoes. So I'm processing all of this as he's asking me about running the steeplechase, and I just looked at Coach T and said, not a chance. So, suffice to say, my track and field career, like my football career, never really got off the ground. But Coach T wasn't far off in finding his next great steeplechase athlete. As the saying goes, right church, wrong pew. It wasn't Matt Underwood he was looking for, it was Matt Luck, who arrived on campus the same year I did here at BW and would eventually become Baldwin Wallace's most outstanding runner in 1989. During his time here at BW, Matt Luck was a 3-time NCAA Division III national qualifier, once in cross country, twice in track. 6 times he was an all-OAC track selection, including a 2-time individual champion in the steeplechase. God bless him. 1989, he was BW's most valuable track athlete. He won the OAC Sparky Adams Award at the 1989 OAC Outdoor Championships. And today, his passion for track has not subsided. He is currently the head boys track coach at Willoughby South High. And in 2013, he was named by the USA Track and Field Emerging Elite Track and Field Coach. Please help me welcome Matt Luck to the stage.
Say that I was the sadistic person who volunteered to run the Steeplechase. I remember coming home from Florida State our freshman year. We will not disclose of stories of Florida trips because there's reasons why they don't do those anymore. But I remember having breakfast with Coach in South Carolina, and I learned very early on that if you got up and had breakfast with Coach, he paid the bill. So it was a great way to save on meal money and things like that. And I said, Coach, when we get up to Muskingum, I'd like to run the Steeplechase. He goes, well, you were going to anyway. I just hadn't told you yet. And from that point on, life kind of took care of itself and everything. However, I will say, I think I was the next person in Coach's office after he had talked to Matt, because the other part of the story that Matt didn't disclose in that meeting is that he actually encouraged Matt to look at broadcasting if he wasn't going to go into running this Steeplechase, because Matt was the sixth freshman on that on the quarterback list, and Coach saw a future for him running, but then also knew that he could go into broadcast. And I do remember that conversation there. I do want to share a couple of thank yous and stories, and to honor Dr. Barone, I would say, let's hope that these are some of the stories that you can dazzle your friends with at the beer party tonight. And so that was something that he would often tell us in class on Wednesday nights. And I know Wednesday nights when we were in school, that was the night to go out. I think it's moved to Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Having had my children go through school, I know that it's changed a little bit. But I do want to start off saying thank you to my high school coaches, Coach Jim Paluski, who was my cross-country coach, and to Coach Denny Stern, my track coach. They instilled into me a just never accept anything less than your best. But I have, the story that I have centers around 3 phone calls. And these 3 phone calls are the 3 phone calls that put me up here today. So first I'd like to say thank you to my parents. My mom and dad, they have celebrated their 54th anniversary this past August. And just having them as an example has been just absolutely wonderful. But I remember doing a run with my dad, and my dad was getting in shape. He was a football player in high school. We were running, and he says, does Alze still run? I said, yeah, he does. He goes, do you know his number? I said, yep, it's 256-3477. He goes, well, I'm going to call him. And that started my dad on the road to running in about like 1981. And my dad set goals. Number 1, to qualify for Boston. Now, at that time, the Boston standard was 2 hours and 50 minutes. And I believe my dad went through the 20-mile mark at the Revco Marathon in May. A year and a half after he started running, and he went through the 2-mile mark in about 2 hours. It took him 61 minutes to run the last 10K. He was on pace to qualify for Boston, but he didn't give up. My dad qualified to Boston in 1991, 92, and he ran the entire race with an American flag in his hand. But watching them overcome together and support each other as my dad was chasing the goals. The second phone call is a call to the alumni. I am here because of another phone call when my mom and dad's best friend, Dave and Vicki Craig. Dave Craig graduated here in 1966. Dave Craig called me and said, what are you doing on Friday? I said, not doing anything. We have practice in the morning, and because it was NEOEA day, he was a teacher at East Lake North. He says, I'm taking you over to Baldwin Wallace. Well, I'm not going to school there. I understand, but you're going to go over for a visit. So Dave brought me over here, and those of us that are old enough to remember, as this building was being built, in the corner of the parking lot, just outside the entrance here, there was an old house. And that old house was where the athletic department was at that time. And Dave and I went in there, and we happened to run into Coach Tarasky. Remember, I had no interest in going to school here. I met Coach Tarasky, and probably by the time I graduated, Coach Tarasky was happy to see me leave because I spent more time in his office talking track and field with him or studying, because this building was where I studied. I studied in those, outside those windows up in the study area up there, because we get into attention deficit issues. If I had noise around me, I could study. If I was in the library, I was falling asleep. So this is where I studied. So to the alumni, encourage your friends, your families, your athletes that you're around, bring them here for a visit. Make them come here for a visit. Right, Tim? One of my former athletes, Tim Hudak. Okay, Tim ran for me at East Lake North. I am now over at Willoughby South coaching, but he ran for me at East Lake North. He was one of those that I said, you need to come here for a visit. Tim came here, fell in love with the school, fell in love with his wife, and Tim is also, both him and his wife are in the Athletic Hall of Fame as well. I have an athlete here today who is here on a college visit because it's part of the rules on the track team. If you are interested in going to school, I sort of demand that you come and look at Baldwin Wallace, because this is a great place to go to school. So alumni, encourage them. Sometimes just throw them in the car. It doesn't have to be a formal visit. I didn't even meet with the admissions department until after I was accepted. Thanks for that one, Coach. I'm not sure how I got in, but I'm glad I did. The third phone call to the current student athletes. I am here because of the third call I made, and I'd like to thank my training partners that I spent my summers with, the seasons with. Tim Mackert is here. Tim and I. Tim was the leader, and I was the chaser. I was a much better chaser because when Tim was around, I was literally chasing him around the track, but Tim wanted nothing to do with the steeplechase. I know that we just spent thousands of hours just running and pushing buttons to get each other to get better. But I'd like to thank Eric Ashton of Malone College and Mentor High School and Brian Stern from Kirtland High School, who were my training partners in the summer. But I made a decision at Miami of Ohio, at the All-Ohio meet, that I was not going to be average anymore. And I asked Eric if we could go and have a conversation. He said, well, I'm going on a cool down. 10-mile cool down. After we already raced a 10K. I'm like, this is insane. And we talked and we made connections and then spent the next 3 years running around Lake County together. So to the athletes out there, I would encourage you guys, what phone call are you going to make to get yourself better? To not accept being average. We like to say to be the better version of yourself, be the best version. I use this one on all my tweets and everything else, and we won't get into that story because we've only been given a couple of minutes to talk, but I tell them to be bigger than Willoughby. You know, there's a world outside of Baldwin Wallace, there's a world outside of Willoughby, Ohio. Be bigger than that. See what you can become. Make that phone call. I will always be a Yellow Jacket for life, and I cannot leave without these last couple of comments. First, Coach Tarasky, thank you for being here. Denny, thank you so much for saving me from the elevator ride. If you wish to know that story, I'll be happy to share it afterwards. But she saved me from a lifetime of embarrassment of going down an elevator. And to Dick Alsasser, thank you for being here. Thank you for being my coach. And Coach Tarasky, one last time, thank you for hiring him. Because we made a connection somewhere, and it was unreal. I got to places that I never thought I could get to. And the two of them helped me immensely. I'd like to finish off with one last story that we can all hopefully go and live by. In 1968, in New York City, they began construction of 2 beautiful buildings. They became the symbol of strength, power, beauty of the United States. They took years to build. They were completed in 1972. We all know that on September 11th, those 2 buildings came down in a matter of minutes. What I'd like to remind everybody, to the coaches, to the athletes, it takes years to build something that is strong and powerful and beautiful. But by a few bad decisions, by a few negative words, it can destroy everything that we've worked to become or we've worked to build somebody up. So always praise, build up, and more importantly, make sure they always know that you love them. So with the time that I have, again, thank you. Congratulations to everybody that's being inducted. This is a tremendous honor, something that I will always remember, something that was on my cast when I broke my foot my freshman year. Yes, I did write that down. And somewhere along the lines, my mom threw away the cast. That's okay, I don't blame her because it smelled pretty bad. And the last one, Mom, I'd like to thank you for all the pictures. I have more pictures, and Dad videotaped every race that I ran. Mom took pictures of every race. And so thank you guys for everything. It's been a wonderful event. Thank you, Baldwin Wallace, and remember to be a Yellow Jacket for life.
It's my pleasure to induct Matt Luck, class of 1990 in the Baldwin Wallace University Athletics Hall of Fame, and to present him with this plaque in recognition of that honor. Congratulations.
Thank you, Matt, for confirming once and for all that distance runners are nuts. 10-mile cool down? 10 yards of cool down. All right, our next inductee, originally from Northfield Center, is one of just 2 BW two-time All-American wrestlers. While at BW, Gino Russo was a 4-year letterman and a starter who compiled a 92-29 record. Additionally, Gino was a 3-time All-OAC wrestler who won a pair of OAC titles in 07 and 08. And what may be most impressive in his collegiate wrestling career was coming back at the OAC tournament as a senior to win the championship and then go on to place 6th at the NCAA championships, all while doing so with a broken hand. That is toughness, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Gino is a President Club's mortgage banker with Quicken Loans. Let's welcome Gino Russo to the stage.
Thank you, guys. Shout out to that DJ. It took us like 3 years before we actually got into music. Couldn't imagine ever being up here. Thank you to BW, everyone involved in nominating and putting this all together, and all the other inductions today. For Audrey and Walter, thank you for sitting through this. I know you guys don't know what this work consists of, but 20 years from now, at least I can say back in my day, there's some sort of record to show. Mom, thank you for everything that you've ever done for me, raising me, making me who I am today, for making the team meals, showing us, bringing you and Nana doing my laundry. I can't thank you guys enough for what you guys have done. I know you said that you hated the sport, but I know I would catch you watching sometimes. Thanks to my whole family, especially my 2 brothers, Rocco and Dino. Dino can't make it, he's on a plane back. Giving me, looking out for me, toughening me up, they would say, quote unquote. Probably a little too tough. But if it weren't for them, I don't think I would be who I am today either. Thanks to my high school coach, Kanega, showing me what a weight was. But wow, When I came to BW, I was definitely a work in progress. I think my two came here, my idol was 50 Cent, and when I needed advice, I would go ask Jeeves. Obviously, as time progresses, there were so many people that came and intervened, rightly so. Coach Fleming, the man that got me here, it was a battle. I was going to go somewhere else, but I thought about it. He was always there in all my high school matches. Best decision I ever made. One of the kindest persons, just gave me the most unconditional support I could ask for as I wrestled. Max DeLuca can't be here. He always kept it light, found ways to energize us. A perfect counterpart for the other half in the room, Coach Volk. We were in it together. He was the one in the trenches with me every day. Two of the oddest characters. As time progressed, we turned into an old married couple. Can't thank you enough for your time, your sacrifice. You're a crazy man, and I love you for it. All my teammates, my drill partners, all my friends here at BW, everyone that I met afterwards. Some of the best times I've had was here. All the memories, sort of fitting that we're ending this at a football game. It was probably a lot of some of the wrestlers here. It was the first time they got to meet me and kind of show you who I was. Lastly, I want to thank one of my biggest fans that can't be here today, my father. Support he gave to me. If I can give an eighth to Walter, I think I would be a perfect father because he set bars that no one could achieve. He was the coach from day one with all my childhood, from baseball to football, everything. When it came to wrestling, he had no idea what the sport consists of either. It took him about 8 years. I think he finally got the hang of it. When I started out wrestling, they told me just go wrestle in tournaments, so that's what I did. I wrestled in all these open tournaments. I placed third, fourth, and I'd be like, Dad, I qualified for this national tournament in Birmingham or Oswego, New York. It's like 8-10 hours away. We get in the car, drive out there. Little did he know there was out of 5 or 6 wrestlers, so it wasn't like it was something I actually qualified for. I go 2 and out, get back in the car. He didn't say one word. And I don't know how he did it. I would drive me crazy. One time we were driving to Oswego and I was sleeping the whole time. I was cutting weight. And it was like, Dad, we're making too much noise out there. Well, we get to the campus and we're greeted by the National Reserves. The campus was on lockdown in a state of emergency to inclement weather. So got back in, came back, and never said a word, just always there for support. And that carried through college. I didn't even know where Lycoming was, I'll bet, but if even I was getting a bye, he was there. Always look up, see him, and this meant the world to me. To this day, he has one of my All-American trophies buried with him, and I can't wait to share this honor to whenever we meet. But to come full circle, all you guys, one of the lowest points is when I broke my hand. I was wrestling really well my senior year, and it was one of my low points. But if it wasn't for all these other people that were there to pick me up and get me to where I was, I wouldn't be here. So when you see my name up in that Hall of Fame, it's probably 200, 300 people that were all part of this, and I can't thank everyone enough. So thank you for the honor, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
My pleasure to induct Gino Russo, class of 2008, into our Baldwin Wallace Athletic Hall of Fame. Present him with this plaque in recognition of that honor. Congratulations.
Bob Scelza, our next inductee, was successful both on and off the basketball court. Originally from Cuyahoga Falls, He was not only a four-year varsity player at Letterman, but the 1985 COSIDA GT Academic All-American and carried a 3.6 GPA. Additionally, Bob led the OAC in rebounding twice, scored over 1,200 career points, grabbed 775 rebounds, which at the time ranked 12th in scoring and 2nd in rebounding. On campus, he was a member of the Dean's List, Alpha Tau Omega, and served as a class officer for the class of 1985. Bob currently works at KeyBank Capital Markets as a managing director and group head of the Leveraged Finance Group. Please help me welcome Bob Scelza to the stage.
Thanks, man. Wow, thank you, BW, and thank you to the BW Athletic Association and the Hall of Fame Committee for this nomination. I'm truly honored. And I would also like to thank my fellow inductees for their honor. I know it's well deserved. I would also like to recognize the family of Dr. Lou Barone. I had a chance to talk to earlier on. What many of you may not know is when I was a freshman, my first class, as a freshman, I show up to U.S. history and Dr. Barone was my professor. And let's just say during my first class of my first year, Dr. Barone helped guide me through that first quarter. Or actually, it was a quarter back then, but he helped me guide. He was a gentleman. He was a good man. He was a good professor. He has a special place in my heart, and I truly remember him, and I'm honored to be here with him today. So I just wanted to pass that along. I would also like to take the time to recognize a lot of my family and friends that are here today. First of all, to Kenny Cunningham, Dave Harry, Mike McDermott, you guys have been a long time friends of mine. Thank you for all you've done. You guys have been very special to me along the years. In fact, Kenny Cunningham and Dave Harry and I have played basketball on the Pickle, call it the Pickle Rec League, for 32 years, post my playing at BW. And being my age, that's an accomplishment of any sort. But one day I aspire to be on the Pickle Hall of Fame. So please take that into consideration, as we move forward in our lifelong quest of continuing to play basketball. I would also like to recognize two people I played basketball with, Pat Welsh, who's here today, and Scotty Tompkins, who played with me. Unfortunately, Scotty is not able to be here today, but I know I've talked to him a couple of times in the last few weeks, and I know he would have liked to have been here. We were the first recruiting class of Coach Steve Bankson, and I knew Coach Bankson went on to coach for 27 years, very successful 27 years, but let's just say that Coach Bankson was very instrumental, and we were very instrumental into helping Coach Bankson in those early years of learning how to be a winner and how to be a great coach. So honored to have Pat here today, and Scott. We shared very many good memories. We always played hard. We always played to win. And those are times that I'll never forget. I'd also like to thank my family. My three daughters and son, Amy, Megan, and Sarah. And Danny, thank you for being here. You guys have always been there for me. And I'd like to thank my wife, Diane, who's been my teammate for 29 years. Very special place in my heart for her. I love you, Di, and thank you for all your support along the years. I will say this, that thank you for indulging me and listening to all my basketball stories over all these years. Only half of what I've ever told you is probably true, so just remember that, but nonetheless, thank you. I'd also like to thank my mother, Anita, my brother Jim and my brother Bill, who my brother Bill is not able to be here today, but those guys have always been supporters. Those guys came to all my games, and they were very special in my ongoing basketball career, but more importantly, I know you guys were always there for support. I would also like to thank two people that are not here today. First of all, I'd like to thank my dad, Jim, who passed away a few years ago. He was always there for me, never missed a game, never missed any one of our games. In fact, on those cold January and February nights when we were playing a good distance away, my father would drive up from Cuyahoga Falls to the Kmart parking lot, listen to the WBWC radio network of the day, which probably had about a 5-mile radius of broadcast, but he was so supportive. He never wanted to miss a game, and he never did. And when he couldn't be there in person, he actually showed up and listened to the game on the radio. We always talked after the game, and has a very, very special place of my remembering all the support that my father as well as my family gave me, and I'll never forget that. And then there's Coach Bankson. We used to call him Banky. Coach Bankson, he never forgets anything. I talked to him last week. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. He's down in Florida living, down in Florida. But he never forgot anything. He remembered every score of every game situation, would tell you about what happened, what you did right, what you did wrong. But the guy had a steel trap. And he was very instrumental to me coming to BW when I first met him, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to play under him. I will say this, he taught me one thing, and that was to pay it forward. He was a big pay it forward guy. When he retired at his retirement party, he gave a nice speech about paying it forward. I have gone on to pay it forward. I coached 3 years in high school basketball. But more importantly, I coached 20 years of CYO basketball, coaching my kids, which was some of the biggest rewarding experiences I've had in my athletic career of paying it forward with my kids. So I wanted to thank him for the opportunity of teaching me how to pay it forward. I think we all should pay it forward. We've all been truly blessed to have the skill set we have. We couldn't have done it without all our teammates, all our family, and all of support. We've heard many stories of that here today. But I also wanted to thank Coach Bankson, the Athletic Association, BW. Thank you. I'm very proud to accept this honor and very proud to be part of the BW community. Thank you.
My pleasure to induct Bob Scelza, class of 1985, into the BW University Athletic Hall of Fame, and present him with this plaque.
Thank you, Bob. Family certainly has been a familiar theme throughout the day, and it just jogged my memory when Bob was talking about his parents driving up from Cuyahoga Falls to sit in the parking lot to listen to the game on WBWC. It reminded me when I was doing games on radio here at WBWC, my parents would drive up from Ashland and sit in the parking lot here on campus just to listen to me call the game on the radio. But definitely, it is something special when your parents are behind you and they have that belief in you and to be so supportive. Our next inductee continued his successful track and field career after graduating from BW. Jim Tillotson from Lakewood, New York is a 5-time winner in the discus in the Masters division at the New York Empire State Games, where he has set 5 records. Now, during his undergrad years here at Baldwin Wallace, Jim earned 4 letters. He was a team captain in 1977 and a co-captain in 1976. He was a member of 4 straight OAC championship teams. In 1976, he was the most outstanding field events athlete. Today, Jim is a retired school teacher from Southwestern Central High School in New York, where he taught phys ed and alternative learning and coached football, wrestling, and track. Please help me welcome Jim Tillotson to the stage.
Thank you. I was hoping, since I'm the oldest one getting inducted today, they'd have an escalator or something over there. First of all, I want to thank the Baldwin Wallace Athletic Association, the college, Chris Diaz for this wonderful honor. I figured, you know, it's been a long time. Anyways, it's better late than never. I had a wonderful career here. Sparky Adams, my coach, I want to thank him. I just kind of walked out of the woodwork. He didn't know I was coming, just walked out of the woodwork and said, I'd like to throw a shot. He said, let's see how you do, and that was it. So, there we go. I also want to thank my teammates. We couldn't have done what was done without everybody being outstanding athletes back then. I always tried to remind people from other sports that while they were talking about maybe winning or hopefully winning one championship, I told them, well, we've already won 4, so what do you want, you know? But we're track. That was my thing. Oh yeah, we're just track. But we always worked hard and we always won, and that was very important to Coach Adams and everybody on our team. And I always remember when we were getting ready for a meet down there, in the varsity locker room, football team varsity locker room, there's a quote, I hope it's still on the wall. It says, it's easy to be ordinary, but it takes courage to excel, and we must excel. So I just want to thank you all again. I want to thank my family, my wife. I want to thank my 2 very close friends, Carl and Barb Reddick, who are here coming up for this. And thank you all again.
My pleasure to induct Jim Tillotson, class of 1977 in the Baldwin Wallace University Athletics Hall of Fame. Present him with this plaque in that honor.
Nervous? A little bit? Our final inductee continued his athletic career after graduation like Jim Tillotson. Following his days here at BW, Joe Velky signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates and played minor league baseball. During his time here at BW, he hit a combined 385, 17 doubles, 17 homers, 75 runs batted in, and he did that in just 2 seasons. He was a 2-time first-team All-OAC selection, 2-time academic All-OAC pick, and he was a COSIDA Academic All-America selection in 1987. He is currently a Systems, Applications, and Products Specialist with Google Cloud. Please help me welcome to the stage, Joe Velky.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to say congratulations to all of the other inductees today. Being the last one up here, it gives me the honor to welcome all, be part of it with you all. I'd like to thank everyone here on the BW staff, Kevin Ruppel, John Snell, everyone who put together this event, the athletic department, for doing such a great job for us. And also, I'd like to thank Matt Underwood for being our MC today. Had the pleasure of going to school with Matt, and we had a conversation today. I live in Texas, and to be not in Cleveland, Ohio for a long, long time. It's very comforting to hear a voice when you watch the Indians game that's somebody you know. But it's also a proud moment when your friends ask, where's BW? Where'd you go to school? And you can reference somebody who you know who's a broadcaster for the Cleveland Indians. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Coach Fisher, who was here earlier, who coached our team in 86 and 87. And our other coaches and our coaching staff who were very valuable to us as a team. I'd like to thank all the teammates who I played with, who helped me. Dave Rosso here is here with us today, inductee last year, one of the best right fielders anybody could see play the game. Then I would like to go ahead and thank my family, my friends who attended. Some of them are still here, appreciate that. But most of all, I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, my aunt, my sister. I'd also like to recognize my cousin Roger and Stephanie, who faithfully served as Berea Police Department employees and are now retired, but served and protected us and the community here in Berea. Thank you, Roger and Stephanie. And then the last person I'd like to thank was my dad, Hullinger. He's a graduate of BW. He's probably a better baseball player than me. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to induct Joe Velky, class of 1987 in the Baltimore University Athletics Hall of Fame. We present him with this plaque in recognition of that honor.
Well, let me just say it was my honor and privilege to be here today to serve as your MC. I want to personally congratulate all of the inductees on their Hall of Fame induction here this afternoon. Thanks again for having me back here to Baldwin Wallace. And right now I would like to introduce Pat Dunleavy, class of 1971, letter winner and Vice President for Philanthropy and Alumni Engagement.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, would you help me please thank Matt Underwood, class of 90, and Chris Diaz, class of 78, for emceeing, for presenting, and for managing today's program with a round of applause. I get to close the program. This will be very short. As we finish our brunch here this morning, I'd like to invite the invitees and all of you to go to the lobby of the gym, Earthsprung Gymnasium right next door to your left. There you will find the inductees' individual archives that have been curated by the university's archivist, Keith Peppers. I think you'll enjoy seeing these memories and memorabilia for each of the inductees. When you finish that, stroll west, which is that way, down the hallway, and take a look at the newly renovated athletics hallway, which was completely funded by the new Brown and Gold Club. And it's an example of the kind of great work that that organization is doing for BW Athletics. I think you'll find it to be very impressive. I have two requests of the inductees. Number one, you're being recognized on the field before the football game today at exactly 1:10 p.m. So it's important that you get there on time. Secondly, right after I finish speaking, if the inductees would please go to the corner where you see the banner on the wall for a group photo. We would very much appreciate that. My last thank you is to all of you for being here this morning, helping us celebrate and honor these fantastic athletes. So let's finish with a round of applause once more for them and for you for being here. And my last thought is, Go Jackets.
Just a quick note, the honorees, we do have a box up here for your plaque, so if you want to pick up your box before you leave today, we do have a box up here for your plaque.